jump right into questions. Jeff, you want to start us off?
Sure, Drew. Obviously, kind of a tale of two halves for you guys this past week. Just tell me about the adjustments you made and what was working for you after a tough first quarters.
Yeah, like Coach Eldon was saying, I think coming out of it, we kind of expected one thing from them, and then we get into the game, and obviously everybody's got a game plan for what we do and what we're good at, but they did some things on defense that really throwing the ball made it hard early in those early downs, and I tried to get us in some stuff early on first and second down, throwing the ball, try to get some shots downfield, but dropping 8, obviously throwing into a bunch of tight windows is hard to do. So a couple drives of that, we had to figure out, kind of readjust what our plan was, and then figuring out running the ball against that was probably our best option. So really proud of our guys understanding the plan coming out of the first half, to what we had to do to win the football game, and then credit to our backs and our offensive line and even to our receivers on some of those huge run plays, getting downfield and blocking them up, and then huge credit to our quarterback too, understanding what we had to do to win the game, and he had some really, really good run game checks that helped spring us and keep those drives alive. So it's all about winning ball games, whatever we have to do to get the W at the end. If we got to run it for 200 yards, then we will. If we got to throw it for 400, then we will. But it's all about getting the win.
I asked you last week about Elijah kind of turning into that workhorse back for you guys, and he does what he does this past weekend. And how great is it to see him really coming into his own?
Really, really proud of Elijah. Again, I think comes to work every single day. He's pleasant to be around, loves his teammates, loves to practice, and I think that kind of bleeds into your team when you see guys who are not only good practice players, good people, but turn into be really, really good players, have some success like he's been having the last few weeks. And again, his workload's just going to keep going up and up. But teams are going to have to scheme around him, because he's a very explosive player, not only running the football but catching the football. And to have a back like that, not only with him but the stable of backs that we have, that they all do a lot of different things well. As a core, I think not only helps us and makes us hard to defend, but proud of Elijah, proud of that group as a whole, and again, really proud of our O-line for how they played in that second half.
How difficult is it to change up your identity? As us only with 100 passing yards, so run game was pretty much what you guys team offensively. How difficult is it to change that?
Not very difficult. I think when you have a guy that understands what teams are doing to you defensively. I mean, I've been on record saying this. Austin Reed's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the country. What he sees on the field is like having a coach on the field. He was the first one to come off the sideline in the first couple drives and say, hey, we're going to have to put the ball on the ground versus the drop 8. It's just going to be tough to throw into those windows. And then to go into the second half and then him to get us in some of those runs, when we did try to call some shots, and he said, hey, I don't know if we're going to be able to throw in this window. Let me check this run. And we hit 2 explosive runs off some of those checks. I think that goes a long way into some quarterbacking that people don't really realize and don't really see. And like I said, I think he's taken the next step within this offense to understand, hey, I don't have to do this all myself. I can have my skill guys help me out, and O-line as well. So really, really proud of the way he came out in the second half and understood kind of what we're doing. But, obviously our identity is to win football games. Whatever we have to do to win football games is what we're trying to do. So, and that starts with myself, our offensive staff, all the way down to our quarterback and our whole offense. So, we try to recruit the best players we can at every single position and lean on those guys with whatever the defense takes on us.
Is it as simple as just dropping 8 back to throw Austin off? Or, what was going on out there to where he wasn't able to produce like he normally had? Just passing yards, only having 100, usually it's around 250 or so, but dropping 8 back, obviously we're going to have problems.
It's hard, yeah. It's hard to throw it into a drop 8 window, and I was at Mississippi State for 3 years, and we were trying to do it 60 times a game into drop 8 windows. So nothing that I've never seen before, and it's kind of the not flavor of the week, but it's a style of defense that's kind of come on in the last 5 to 7 years as a the structure of how teams play, it's a little different. You can drop 8 in kind of different ways, but the 3-down dime, 3-high structure is kind of a new age thing that's tried to stop RPOs, but against air raid teams that are trying to throw it 60 times a game, that was we were trying to do that at Mississippi State. So it's nothing we hadn't seen before. But I think here at Western Kentucky, we're a little more versed into getting a little, our run game is a little heavier in what we carry each week. That helps us try to combat some of that stuff. But yeah, with a guy like Austin who's extremely talented and wants to throw it to all of our skill guys, that going forward, obviously that's going to be a plan from some defenses, and we got to stay balanced and understand to keep the ball in front of the chains on first and second down, and then put ourselves in good position once we cross the 50 and into the red zone. But it's hard, dropping 8, dropping 9 sometimes. You're throwing into some tight windows, and it's just not conducive to helping yourself early and down. So, but again, we got one of the smartest quarterbacks in the country that understands what we need to do to win games. And if he keeps checking runs like he does and then takes those shots when he can, we're going to be all right.
Did UTEP do that more than you've seen this year, or were they just better at it?
It's not that, I don't know if it was more. I think we've seen the structure of it in a bunch of different games this season, but it's just been different ways of how teams presented it, right? And it was a little bit of what they do. That was kind of what their defense was and how they structured it. But like I said, it's a style of defense that's kind of taken hold across the country more and more over the past 5 to 7 years. And compliments to them, they had a good game plan and did some really, really good things. And we had to run them out of it.
I know you said Austin checks out plays a lot, and he did that a lot this past weekend. But for you as the play caller on the sideline, what's the process like for you to kind of have to throw your game plan out the window and readjust in the second half like y'all have to do?
I don't know if it was necessarily that we had to throw it out. We had a lot of that run game stuff installed, and obviously a part of the plan going through the week when you sit down with your quarterback and your offensive staff is to say, hey, here's a plan of what we think they're going to do, and then here's a plan of what they might do based on their kind of structure. So your quarterback's got to be, essentially one of your coaches, right? He's got to understand how we plan to attack teams, and then what's the best way for him to be successful if that plan necessarily doesn't materialize. So that's why I give him a bunch of credit for, when he comes in and studies early in the week. I mean, he's in the office every single day, learning the plan, watching film, understanding what they do, and it's an extension of the coaching staff out there. And if you can have that and have your quarterback be, one of the smartest people on the field to help your offense, that's crucial. So, came in at halftime. Spoke to the staff, spoke with Coach Heldon about, hey, what's going to work for us going in the second half, and we found a way to win, and I think that's important.
New Mexico State's one of the better defenses in the league, best scoring defense, I believe. What do they present as a challenge for you?
Do multiple things on defense. Like I said, their defense is a little more conducive to the 3 high structure where they play a lot of that 3 down dime. They'll get in some 4 down. Change the look on you in the back end. But most importantly, I think they just run to the football. They're very physical, very well coached. The DC there does a really, really good job of having those guys play with some intensity and toughness, and they fly around. So it's not going to be easy. We're going to have to come up with a good game plan, but really got a lot of respect for their team and what they've been able to do these last couple weeks. But again, more important about what we do, right? We got to get better and better every single day, go 1-0 every single day in practice, put a good week of practice together, get ready for the game.
Over the years, establishing the run game has been a slow step for Western, especially in the past 5-6 years or so. But this year it's slowly been coming along and kind of culminated against UTEP. How have you been able to find that? Are you getting better at finding that balance between trying to establish that run game against this air raid offense?
Yeah, I think it's, what can your players do, right? I've said that all along. It's not necessarily the plays you call, it's what your players can execute, right? We've got really good players at every single position, not only up front, but at the skill positions, and then obviously our quarterback. But you're doing your team a disservice, and you're doing your offense a disservice by saying, we're going to be one way and this is what we're going to do, and even if it doesn't work, we're just going to bang our heads against the wall. So we got to let our players play. We got to put them in good positions to be successful, and guys like Elijah have stepped up in the last few weeks and have seen their roles kind of expand because that's what the situation calls for. And if they try to come in, load the box, then we're going to get back to throwing it 60, 70 times a game and to what works for us. But you're doing your kids a disservice, you're doing your program a disservice by trying to bang your head against the wall. But we're in the business of playing good offense and winning ball games, right? So whatever we got to do to win football games and play complementary football and put our kids in the best position to win, that's what we're going to do.